Yeah, hi, it's the 16th of July 2018 at 3:45 p.m. I'm going to put a scenario to you, and I hope it never ever happens to any of you, but imagine this. You're whizzing along in your car, and you in a back street, a little narrow little back street somewhere, and you're quick as a flash, you're banging, and suddenly this little kid, or you see a ball run across the road, and suddenly this little kid, maybe 3 or 4 years old, runs out, and in that instant, whack, you hit the kid, and you can feel that thump, and you hit the brakes, and it's just, and it's just, the kid's dead, okay, already. It'll be, before the car even comes to a stop. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Does it matter that you're in the right there? I mean, you could have been under the, into the speed limit and everything else. When that kid ran across the road, that ball, his parents should have been monitoring closely. My point to you is, does it really matter that you were in the right? Or would it have been more important that you were driving a little slower, a little more carefully, a little more cautiously, expecting just such an eventuality could happen? And that you saw that ball come out, and you were driving slowly and carefully enough, and then when the kid came out, you hit the brakes, and you missed him by that much. Which one do you want to be? The first guy that, and go to a party and boast that, you did kill a 4-year-old, but you were in the right, and everybody be patting on the shoulder saying, well, good on you. Or the guy that goes to the party and says, thank God I'm a cautious driver, because I could have killed that kid and it was that close. Which one are they going to listen to? Which one are you going to be happier being? I'll just leave that question with you, because what I want to do is talk about how we are toward one another and toward women, and just life in general. As usual, I'm going to use I'm calling it the narc visor now. I'm going through a series of names, and this video was actually prompted by a long discussion I had yesterday with Jay Lord, and we were talking about all these sorts of things. In comments, you can go back and read them. It's the video before this, if you like. But the whole point I was trying to make to him was, in everything we do in life, in that car, that this guy you were driving when you ran over a kid, you've got all sorts of warning signs, and you've got a speedo, all these things you can check. You've got a speedo. Am I going a bit too quick here? And you've got warning signs telling you to slow down. You're in a build-up area. That's all sorts of signs. There's sort of things that you can check if you decide to access it. And the truth of the matter is, most of the jobs in this world, and most of what we do, involves a lot of checking. You go to the doctor, he checks you. A nurse goes, will check you. You go to a dentist, they check you. The police will check that you're not speeding. You just check. Businesses use accountants, lawyers, all sorts of people to check stuff, order clerks, whatever. Check. Most of what you're doing is checking. Very little of what you're doing is actually initiating anything. It's just a checking world. Check. Now, when it comes to conversation, what is it you're checking? What do you have to check? There's nothing, is there, really? I mean, it's just what can you check? Now, what happens typically in conversation is it's like we're driving around in the world in cars, and nobody's checking their instrumentation or the road signs or anything else like that. There's no rules. Just drive anywhere you want, and everybody's, you bloody dickhead, you idiot, beep, 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 beep. It's just, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. That's actually how we're living. There's no checking. Everybody else is wrong. No, everybody. He did that wrong to me. She did that wrong to me. He did that wrong. Oh, yeah, I'm all right. Bzz, bzz, bang. God. Just imagine all these car wrecks everywhere. Steam and everything coming out, and everybody, out the window shaking their fist at one another. That's what's happening. That's actually what's happening in the world. That's the truth of it. There's just nothing to check. And this is what this thing's all about, man. It seems to be. Yeah, I actually use it like a like a rear vision mirror. I actually do call it to mind. But I've actually had a couple of guys say, "Can you send me a copy of it?" And I've been reluctant to do so because I thought, well, what for? And besides, it's not finished. I haven't finalised it yet. I'm still working on it. But I'm starting to think, holy son of a gun, no, I've got to start learning it myself. I've done it. I've got to start learning it, where everything else is. I had a situation this morning. I very nearly ended up in the narc zone. It was a bad situation, actually. I ended up getting out of it by informing and explaining it, but I was starting to get a bit heated about it. I was a bit bloody stupid, this thing. But anyway, I won't go on to that. But I can easily, any of us can easily fall into the narc zone. Now, there's nothing wrong with being in the narc zone, but don't complain when your life is just misery and you're upset and angry most of the time, because it's like trying to drive in a swamp. That's why I've called it the swamp, the narc zone, otherwise known as a swamp, because it's just, you just get in there and you can't get out. And you try and get out, you try and get up here, and someone puts their hand on there and drags you back in again. So, and if you can't remember anything else, stay away from win-lose topics. Where you can win-lose. Get onto these. Look, I'm just informing you. That's it. There's nothing to argue about here. I'm just informing you. I'm explaining what happened there. I'm not going to have an argument with you. I'm just informing you. Oh yeah, but nah. I'm just informing you. And you can use those words, and and you might have to explain. No, this is just the way it's done with everything else. What's the difference here? Okay, I'm just informing you. Use those words, and don't use words that are debating or disagreeing or win-lose, because in the narc zone there's a winner and there's a loser, and the narcs always want to win. Okay, whether those narcs are women, your boss, whatever, they just want to win. And there's no point in winning, because you actually lose. They're already losing, but they don't realise it. But they've already lost. They're already in the narc zone, but you're not going to win being in the narc zone because you've already lost, because you're there. You don't have to. You can no. I want to then get in the narc zone, enjoy it, swim around, have a good time, but don't complain when things fuck up. The idea is to get up here, and the higher you can get, the more creative you'll be with your conversation, with your ideas, with your life, everything. Things will get better. I can't believe the difference that is in me after using this thing for a few weeks or a month now. Can't believe it. I went to the shopping mall the other day, and I thought, normally I buy, it was a Friday afternoon, I was going to buy some wine. I wouldn't mind a drink. And I thought, I called this to mind. I thought, I'll try it. I called this to mind. I thought, no, I don't want to risk getting into the swamp, into the narc zone. And if I add alcohol, then that will help me. And not necessarily, I might be lucky enough and stay up there, but chances are I'll end up in here. And the way I see it, you don't even need the alcohol to get in here. You can be in here without alcohol. Okay. In fact, a lot of the people who are the worst narcs, or live in the narc zone, the worst of all, are adult children of alcoholics who don't drink, because they assume that because they're not drinking they must be fine. The problem is that in their early years, their childhood and teenage years, they learned the habits of an alcoholic, and they're into this all here quite a lot. They're not up here. Alcoholics aren't typically informing, explaining, entertaining, invigorating, or doing all of that. No. They're down here. They like to get down to here. All right, fighting and arguing, particularly attacking, all that stuff. Yeah, so, although you don't drink, you've learnt the habits of the alcoholic, and you're down here. And the only way to get yourself out of there really is to just don't do any of these things. just walk away. Just don't do them. In a sense, it's sort of like reverse engineering. It's if you do these things, you'll behave like an alcoholic. That's the truth of it. If you're doing all these things, you're actually doing what an alcoholic does. An alcoholic could do them without the alcohol, with or without the alcohol. You just don't need the alcohol. But I probably should come up with a better name for it, but I see it as narcissism. And I've always thought it's very similar to alcoholism, and I think that's because it comes from alcoholism. It comes from the personality of the alcoholic, and that might be 4 generations ago, passed down from one to the next. Because at some point, somewhere along the lineage, you have to reject that and say, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to move up here. And when you do that, you're out of the narc zone. You've cut the lineage, and I think that can be done at any age. Any age. I don't think there's any, and it's not difficult to do. It's just, you sort of get it in mind that do you want to be down here in this, doing these sorts of things, being angry and upset the whole time, or do you want to be happy? The choice is yours. Okay, but my whole point is, this thing is for you. It's for you to drive your car. It's not to tell others what they're doing wrong. Okay? That's criticising. That's narc stuff. It's nothing to do with it. It's to help you drive your car, and you trust that everybody else drives their car properly. Now, if they don't, if they decide just, come charged at you out of the blue, then hopefully you've got it, by stopping out of all this and being up here and having the right attitude, you'll avoid the accident and you'll manage to wiggle out of it because you won't go anywhere there with them. Okay, so, and that's, as I said at the very beginning, this is the important thing. Well, I believe it's the important thing. It's to don't have the accident. I mean, you don't have to be too ridiculously careful, but slow down that bit. Use the tools that are available and avoid accidents. It's a lot smarter than having an accident and boasting that you were in the right, I can tell you. Anyway, it's I'll keep going with it. There's quite a few things. I've got other things to talk about here as well, but a lot of this came out of, as I said, with the conversation I had with Jay on the previous video. So if you want to look at the comment there in the conversation, feel free to do so. But I'll cover it in the next couple of videos. I appreciate it, Jay. Thanks a lot. I appreciate all of your comments and all of your input. Actually, it helps, and it's all good. And sometimes it's a bit contentious and stuff. But it's all good. It's not debating or disagreeing or doing any narky stuff. We're staying out of the narc zone, which is good, and we can come up with something better. But I'll stress again, this is what this is about. It's not about other people. It's about you. And checks that you can make, and how you can avoid just by calling it to mind, learning a bit. Mainly if you don't get involved in debating. That's the one that'll get you every time. As soon as you get sucked into that debating, try and turn it around into informing and explaining. It's a lot of manipulation. All right, but in the next video, I'm going to show you how I actually use this. There's a technique to it. It's a pretty simple technique, but I'll cover that in the next video. Okay, it's been good talking to you. Talk to you later. Bye.